Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I'm thrilled to chat with actor, comedian, and old friend Lee Eddy. Lee can be seen recently on Freeform's Cruel Summer, as well as Amazon's Panic, and we discuss her career in Austin and New York, working during COVID, keeping the hustle going over years, and much more. Lee and I worked together years ago at the Dougherty Summer Arts Camp in Austin, Texas, and of course we have to discuss the horror and hilarity of teaching grade school kids. It's a fun interview, and I was so thrilled to get to catch up with Lee. There were a few microphone issues, but overall it's a great interview, and I hope you enjoy.
Thanks so much for making time. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no worries. Thanks for reaching out. Let me turn off this very loud air conditioner. Boop. Boop. What have you been up to, Les? Are you still teaching children how to make film using iMovie?
Absolutely not. I think that was the most stressful summer of my life.
Why, Sam? Because you had a classroom full of 20 kids under the age of 10 trying to make movies?
It was fine. All of them were better at computers than me. It was great.
But you're still doing film stuff, or are you just the TV guy thing is a fun side hustle style?
Yeah, I did. Let's see. So I was finishing out UT right then, and then we did Dougherty, and then I ended up getting a job. Over the next year or so, I settled into a job doing graphic design for a little printing company in Round Rock, and
oh, cool.
They just kept giving me raises, so I did that for like 14 years or something like that.
How dare they?
How
dare they pay you well and keep you and want you around?
I did eventually hit a point where it was like, okay, this is I can't imagine being paid more for this job, but I can't imagine another office job I could stand that would be any better than like this is the best that a job was going to be, and so I spent about 2 years trying to figure out what I wanted to do instead, and saving up money and getting ready to jump, and so now I do part-time tech support for a company that my wife works at, and I'm writing screenplays.
That's awesome, dude. Thank goodness for that 2 year. Like, wait a second, reset.
Yeah. It's funny, like this couple of years ago that I jumped, and looking back on it now, like everybody around me is like, "Oh no, man, I would hear from you every day at 3 p.m. like a fucking alarm." Like suddenly Les would go from like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do some stuff tonight," to like, "Fuck the world, I hate everybody," and burn this whole thing down.
Help me,
right.
cry for help. But man, those desk jobs, they're a sweet, sweet trap. Like, you get that health insurance.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we'll match your retirement. Oh, you know what? You've only been here for 2 years. I'll give you this new title and a business card with your name on it. And there's the good paper. Like, it's just like, very, very.
They were paying my phone. I mean, there was a lot.
Yeah. It's hard not to. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but if you're meant to be doing something else, it's such a nice, warm, cozy, soft landing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Then
totally
find a way to, and it was hard to learn to split time. I mean, it's not like I could immediately go and just do my dream job instead. And so it was kind of hard to figure out how to split time and pay attention to multiple things and. Because I wake up in the morning and answer like the world's dumbest tech support questions for like 7 hours. But I can do that at home, and I can do little things. I can take care of life crap then, and then I can still set aside time to write later. It works out.
And then little like dumb shit that you have to go through with the IT stuff. You're like, oh, this will serve as inspiration for a screenplay number 37, and it'll be. This guy will come back.
I am absolutely not
later.
taking notes on your problem, sir.
Exactly. This is all confidential because this is only for training purposes, not for any sort of future length.
Definitely not
Sundance Film Festival. Yeah.
Ignore yourself on screen if you ever notice that.
You know what? Why don't you heighten it just a little bit too, sir? Just to see what happens if we just take it up a notch. Where will that bring us?
This is good, sir. But if I left you on hold for 10 minutes and come back, would it be better for me?
Life stuff.
Good times.
Life stuff less.
And
yeah,
so
it's good times.
So I started to do the math and then I stopped because I felt old. But let's see, Dougherty would have been nearly 20 years ago now.
Would it be? Would it be 20? Would it be 20 years?
Something
2000.
like that, right?
I graduated from college in 2000. I started working at Dougherty. I would say like 2004.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're a little shy. I feel slightly better now.
Okay. Yeah. Let's not say 20. Let's say maybe just like a decade and a half.
It's a hair over 15. Yeah.
Yeah. Just barely over 15.
That's nothing.
Yeah. Lots of growth has happened in between.
If I remember right, around that time, you were killing it around the Austin theater scene. You were, I think you won top actor in Austin and maybe the Chronicles thing, if I remember right.
Yeah. The Austin Readers Poll, which is just basically, you email your mom and she votes for you, and then you get nominated. Exactly.
Having lived in Austin for a long time, I have voted for many, many things.
Yes.
And so moving on from there to now and getting to see you turn up on Cruel Summer and turn up on Panic. I mean, obviously you've been doing Rooster Teeth stuff, but what's your journey been like keeping like we were just talking about, keeping in on your dream there?
Keeping on with my dream since 2004, 5. Good God. Well, it's basically, it is a lot of hustling, dude. It's a lot of putting together those summer camp jobs, along with I watered plants for a while at businesses, and then later would work as a marketing director for a nonprofit theater company, and just strings and strings of part-time jobs purely to pay for not getting paid very well to do theater and comedy at night. Like, that is basically what I did from 2005 up until about, when did I move to New York? 2014. So it was just anything that was a 1099, definitely not a W-2, because she was going to give you health insurance when you're only working 10 to 12 hours for them. But when you cobble together that full 35 hours in a week from all these random small-time jobs, just so that you can do theater from 6 p.m. till 11 p.m. That's basically what I was doing. And then when I moved to, what's the good transition here? I was also doing little independent movies and like UT, RTF student films and stuff in between. But mostly it was the comedy at night and doing the avant-garde theater and one or two little tours for a science fiction radio play that I was in. And working on one of these independent movies, I met my now husband, Macon Blair, and we were not instant like, oh, hello, and hello. It's more like, oh, you're funny, and you smoke, so I can bum cigarettes off of you. And and then we became, I don't know if you remember Friendster. We became Friendster friends, and then migrated over to MySpace and just became like comments here and there. And he came back in town, and a couple of years later for Murder Party, Jeremy Saulnier's South by Southwest feature. And when he came back, he was like, hey, let's get some beers. I was like, I know this really great place called Dunn's Depot. I thought it was just like friendly, cool hangout date. Not date, just friendly, cool. We say funny things to each other online. But then it turned out that it was actually a date, and I didn't know it until it was a date. And dated him long distance, and I would never, ever, ever move to New York for a dude, Les, because it's not what's smart and independent artistic ladies do. Obviously. So I was just moving to New York to just see what was out there.
It's a big city.
Yeah.
Other people are there.
Just an added perk. Yeah, there's millions, in fact. There are millions of people there. And Macon just happened to be one of them. And he also happened to say, hey, while you're trying to figure out what you want to do, why don't you just stay at my place? And I was like, well, okay. And 3.5 years later, we got married. And then a year after that, we had a kid. And during that time, I was doing, that's when I had my comfy desk job, which was awesome because I worked at a public access station in Brooklyn, New York.
That's pretty great. If you're going to have a desk, that's a good place to house that desk.
It was, I'm even getting goosebumps just thinking about how perfect of a job it was for me because, it's doing, creative stuff. It's doing stuff with media, but it's also a nonprofit. So you're totally helping these nonprofit organizations and these individuals that just want to put their own dream together. And I get to be a part of that. Holy smokes. And you're going to give me health insurance and look at this nice business card. It was really, really great. Because I don't know if many people know this, but it is really hard to live in New York without money. And, having a 40-hour job, 40 hour a week, not $40 an hour, that'd been amazing. It kind of is hard to do other stuff outside of a 40-hour week while trying to navigate New York and get rent. And apparently you're supposed to be putting stuff in something called a retirement fund. So I mostly just concentrated on doing improv out there with the People's Improv Theater, and was on a house team there for a couple of years, and then also performed as a company member for Story Pirates. And these are all very niche New York things, but that's how I kind of kept my cogs greased because I just wasn't doing theater because it was hard to do theater. And it was very strange because I had never not done theater since I was 17, and going that long without an outlet that is, a longer form of acting and dedication to a particular character and stuff started to get kind of itchy and weird. And so when we had a kid, a couple things culminated. One, it was too hard to raise a child in a very small Brooklyn apartment. Two, Austin prices were very low for houses and rent and compared to New York. So that was also appealing. And three, I was just really feeling kind of stuck artistically. Not that there was anything wrong with People's Improv Theater or Story Pirates, but I had just become a mom, and then I had already been suffering this artistic identity of who am I if I'm not doing theater, but now I have this who am I because now I'm a mom. It was a whole bunch of big life question things. Luckily, Macon, who was also working a desk job at Ogilvy and Mathers, where he basically reformatted old commercials all day long, and in between breaks of doing that would work on screenplays and writing and working with his buddy Jeremy Saunier and Chris Sharp and Bill. That's when Blue Ruin came out, was right when I was pregnant with our first kid, and after I gave birth to him, Blue Ruin went to Cannes, and then it went to Sundance, and that was kind of a big, oh thank God, because now Macon was able to do something that was bringing money in that was also in his artistic realm, but it was enough for us to save up to go to Austin, and then he could continue to pursue that kind of tidal wave that came afterwards of acting jobs and writing jobs, and him becoming more successful and sustaining himself through that allowed me to kind of oh, okay. I did teach high school theater for a while at St. Stephen's. It was great. Loved it. Loved being a high school theater teacher. But then I started getting cast in movies. So because I was back in Austin and I knew these people, and one of my old theater directors, Vicki Boone, became a casting director in town. And that was super helpful just because she had known me since I was kicking rocks at St. Ed's and was able to recommend me for jobs. And that just kind of got the ball rolling of starting to be in more, I don't want to say legit because everything is legit in its own way, but more better funded projects. I mean, I don't feel at home in this world anymore was making the movie, and that was pure nepotism. But then, Mercy Black by Owen Edgerton, and then Mustang Island by my good friend Craig Elrod, who I'd known for a long time. That having a little bit more of bigger parts instead of the funny neighbor or cool gay aunt. It was like, oh shit, she can make other faces and talk at the same time, and it's actually pretty believable. It is what my mom would say, not myself, because I'm very humble. And yeah, that's how I kind of got the ball rolling, even though the ball has been getting pushed for a really long time. Woo, that was a monologue there, Mark. I called you Mark. Les, I hope that you can edit out the part where I called you Mark. But yeah, sorry, that was a lot of talking.
No, I appreciate you walking me through it. So it was funny as you were telling the story.
That wasn't a walk, dude. That was a hike. Like, I had to throw a rope and carry you over.
We're at the mountaintop now.
Valley. Yes, it's hard to breathe.
We got the flying squirrel suits down from here. As you were telling me all of it, my brain was putting in okay, so this has to have been around Blue Ruin, so this has to have been around because I've only met Macon or seen Macon from across a room at Fantastic Fest or introducing a thing or.
Well, then you basically are best friends because that's all you need.
We're calling that Austin friends. It's the same way I'm besties with Elijah.
Yeah.
And so, Murder Party and Blue Ruin. He was an actor that I was like, that guy. Okay, him again. Okay, okay. I need to follow you through movies apparently, and then to find out when I started doing my homework of holy shit, that's Lee Eddy's spouse.
She fucking married that guy? Holy crap!
I'm of course that's perfect. That's two incredibly talented people. I assume your kid is already making better movies than I can.
He's on TikTok. I don't know. Check it out, man. Lots of filters.
And I absolutely drove my partner nuts the night that we were watching Cruel Summer, and you turned up, and I was like, "That's Lee," in a very clear and distinct voice.
Well, you had to have been paying really close attention because I'm seriously maybe all together in it for maybe 2 minutes, but a lot of voiceover work.
And spread across a lot of 4 episodes. Stuff. Like your part blew up and just scattered. And
exactly.
But oddly, you end up being the character that is there to provide absolutely necessary background or exposition or pulling one thing out of a character. Kind of moments, and I was like, all right, I wonder if Sylvia was in the show at the start, or if they realized halfway through writing it that oh shit, somebody has to say all of this.
Yeah, you got to, and that was something too when when I got the audition, they only give you here's a page and a half, and I was like, all right, this is obviously. They give you a little summary of here's what the storyline is for these characters, and this is how your character fits in, and spending my own time in therapy, it was easy to do the therapist role of this is, you talk to somebody, active listening. But then when I got the full pilot to read, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a very, very, I don't want to say thin line, but it is a line that you have to walk very delicately as far as you don't want to glorify a relationship that is portrayed between the Olivia Holt and the Blake Lee character, but you also have to make it watchable and sympathetic in some ways so that you're not getting two-dimensional characters or getting that three-dimensional, this is the reason why something as gut-churning can occur. And I feel like the Sylvia character is kind of, I don't want to say it's the salve because it definitely does not everything is okay, but it's more of the hey, just so y'all know, this is not okay. And we're watching something that is not okay, and it seems okay because it's written so well and it's portrayed so well. And I didn't really get to read the last 2 episodes because they kept that very confidential to just as need-to-know basis. And so I only got Sylvia's pages. So when I finally got to see the last 2 episodes, I was like, oh, they did a really good job of, like, excellent tightrope walkers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they did I don't know. I think that's a testament to someone who has a lot of experience writing and also a lot of experience of having to find ways to make entertainment entertaining, but also not condoning certain aspects of inappropriate relationships.
The show had a very twisty who's the villain among a certain set of characters, but then I felt like Sylvia was always there to remind me that, like, oh, hey, while all this is going on, just so we're clear, that dude is also a villain.
Yeah.
And was just this very patient, like, okay, no, I get that you did a thing that makes you feel like you were compromised or in a gray area, but also you were being played. Which just kind of lined it out of like, okay, cool, we've gotten a little twisty here, just so we're clear again.
Yeah.
Dude is a perv.
And I got totally, but I think there was something that was also very, like, I don't want to assume this for you, but just growing up as a female and a young girl, just I don't want to say it brought up a lot of stuff, but there was always that one teacher in high school that was kind of a little bit too friendly with girls, or there was that one coach, or the trusted individuals within your young life, and you're when you're 16, you think you're a badass and you know everything, but I don't know, just seeing how the Olivia Holt character was justifying some of this, like, oh, I felt bad for him. When he calls her an old soul, it was just like, oh, that just brought up like.
Oh, when the show had the title card of a warning about depictions of grooming, and I'll see shows sometimes of like, oh, this show has drug use in it. And I'm like, okay, cool, appreciate the warning, and then it ends up not being that big. This was I think the first show where I went, okay, no, this is the clearest, like, repeated demonstration of grooming with other characters reflecting on it and pointing it out, I think, that I've ever seen in a fictional show. Yeah.
And just they did such a good job of, he was charming, and he was a safe landing for her, and
with the line you have of you, do you see that he positioned himself?
Exactly. He cornered you off to make you feel like he was the only person that could care for you. And I don't know, I've had 1 or 2 lady friends that have watched the series, and they're like, hey, I had this person in my life. And thank God I didn't get as far as, being locked in a basement and, help kidnapped. But, like, just having to deal with needing guidance from somebody, and then also dealing with him growing up and having romantic feelings about everything, and just that balance of not being mature enough, but having the mature abilities to have those feelings. And so, I don't know, I thought that they did a really fine job of portraying that.
The other thing that cracked me up, and I don't know how different Shreveport, Louisiana area was from Northeast Texas. I'm guessing probably not terribly.
No, there's just like that one state line in between. That's the difference, pretty much.
And you can accidentally cross that. My folks still live in
Exactly. Oh shit, I'm in Texas.
Yeah. I've missed my exit in Marshall and gone, oh God, I think we're in Louisiana now.
Yeah. As soon as I saw the Wascom sign, I'm like, oh no, I've gone too far.
Exactly. Which I guess now with differing pot laws from state to state could get people in some real shit.
Oh, totally. Or even just driving around with drive-through daiquiris. You got to be careful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's how I always knew I'd hit Louisiana. It was like, oh, wow, the point of sale here is whiskey. Cool.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Wait, it's a closed container because you put a piece of tape over the straw? Okay.
In college, did not believe me I went out of state for college for a couple of years, and I would tell people about that shit. I could just see them like, oh man, you're making that up. Like, I'm telling you, King of the Hill is not a comedy.
No, it is a documentary.
It's a documentary
animated
series. But the thing that there were little touches throughout Cruel Summer that cracked me up. I think at one point she storms into her childhood room and tears down the two homecoming mums off of her wall.
Oh, giant, huge mums.
No explanation of what they are, and I was howling at the screen, just like, holy shit, they got it right. Like,
yeah.
I was really really pleased with it.
Did you want to talk about Panic at all, or do you want to skip Panic?
Oh no, we can definitely talk about Panic. I interviewed Cameron Jones.
Oh, Cameron Jones, yeah. Oh, what a sweetie.
Yeah, one of the few kids in the cast, I think, not actively playing the game. In theory,
but... spoiler, yeah. He just kind of hangs out and watches from the sidelines.
So, in terms of getting on board with that series, I'm assuming that these things, just with the way the world's been the last year, have to all be self-tape auditions and such.
Oh yeah. And I gotta say, dude, I hope they don't stop self-tapes. I prefer self-taping just because you can do it on your own time. You're not sitting in a waiting room with 7 to 8 other people that look similar to you, and they're all saying the same things, and then if you're in the bathroom, you can't, et cetera, et cetera. Self-tape. Yeah, total self-tape all the way. I hope that I get to do it forever.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, on the one hand, I've heard stories of getting a part because you sat in a casting room and you heard 15 people do it the exact same way. And so you did the
like,
opposite.
I'm going to scream.
Yeah, and well, I'm going to whisper it.
I'm going to whisper all my lines. Yes, exactly.
And, but at the same time, there's always that, like, watching somebody like, oh, it's you. We haven't seen you in a while. Like, oh, well, fuck. All right.
Yeah. Well, then also with self-tape, you get to do it 20 times, like 30 times if you wanted to, and then you get to go and choose your best 2.
Mm-hmm.
Versus you're in a casting room. Okay, you want to read it again? Yes. All right. Read it again. Thank you. And you're like, oh man, if I had 18 more times, you know that they would really, really like what I did.
I gotta say, there's a whole lot about the addition of virtual everything that I hope we don't fully give up again.
Me too.
Even just down to my Dungeons and Dragons group. I'm like, I love you all.
Yeah, also like...
Virtual's great.
Yeah, yeah, I don't have to leave. I'm eating better. I'm not drinking as much. I'm still hydrated. It's just a lot of... Yeah, but, my hermit lifestyle, I like being a hermit in my own ways anyway, so this has just been putting a bright spot on some of my introvert skills.
Yeah, my loved ones got a little concerned of like, you can't just say the ship has sailed on the outside world, right? I was like, can't I, though?
Yeah, maybe it's just docked far away.
My app selection on my phone would disagree. I can have everything ordered. We're good. I'm never leaving. So when you got the part for Panic, was it as secretive as Cruel Summer, or was it?
I think that with Panic, it was a little because the part that I play is much more integral to the storyline. So the teenagers, Cameron's role, Bishop and Heather and Natalie and Dodge and Ray, they all have the exciting. Here are the stunts, and here are who's screwing over who, and who is literally screwing over people, et cetera, et cetera. But in the meantime, in the background, the adults are trying to figure out what's going on with these kids. And since I was one of the main driving forces of like, let's get this mystery solved, I got to read every script. And so there wasn't as much secrecy as with Cruel Summer. I think also we had to shut down production right in the middle of filming. We had like the last 2 episodes left. So there was kind of ooh, how will this end? And now that will it end at all? Will this ever come out? Did we just spend 8 months of our life shooting something and it will never see the light of day? So the ending, when it was written, I have to say that I was pretty shocked, and I don't want to go into it until you see it, but it is literally wild how it kind of wraps up at the end. And Yeah.
Well,
was the secrecy of it? I guess it was secret as far as we didn't get to see the last two. We didn't get to have the last two scripts until right before the pandemic hit.
And I, in a little bit of stuff I'd seen during ATX Fest with Lauren Oliver about kind of moving it from her book to a series that there was stuff that changed, and that reading the book wouldn't necessarily give away or fully prep you for what was going to happen in the show.
No, totally. But once I did get to read the ending of the script, I was like, what? And then I went to the book and I was like, oh, okay. It was in the book. Like, there was just kind of some reaffirming, like, okay, they know what they're doing. Sort of. This is all based on something that has been here before. But yeah, no spoilers if you're looking forward to seeing the ending. And she did change some stuff, but some stuff also stayed the same.
And so, moving forward, I know we're all, getting to, creep out to restaurants or occasionally maybe see a movie in the theater again or.
Oh my gosh, have you done that yet? What's it like?
I have not done theaters yet. That's
me neither.
Freaking me out.
Neither. And I have two little kids at home too, and since they can't get vaccinated yet, I'm so like I'm going to be the slow creeper out into the sun. Everybody's going to have nice tans. I'm going to be so pale.
It was the vaccine that finally did for me, because otherwise I've just not done anything for 18 months. And it's funny, all the things that I want to creep out and do, I realize there's a huge section of the country that just never stopped. But
exactly.
And that's frustrating, but
it's so maddening.
But I'm going to pretend like we all weathered this together, and I'm sneaking out, but as it's starting to loosen up, do you feel like work-wise are things starting to get rolling again?
Work-wise, yeah. I mean, when I was shooting Panic, I was also in Richard Linklater's upcoming feature.
Apollo 10.5?
So, Apollo 10.5, which is a nice little nostalgic Valentine to the space age time during the Houston 60s and early 70s. So it was nice that I had that project that was still going to come out sometime, maybe later this year, maybe next year. And so I was really worried that, like, wow, I had this ball rolling of Panic is going, Apollo's going. Oh, damn it, here's the pandemic. Is this ball gone? Cruel Summer came along during the pandemic, and that's when I started shooting. It was then end of December 2020, all through the early 2021, and they just pushed that puppy right out. But I do have some projects that I am working on. One I can't talk about until it comes out, but it'll be exciting. And then Macon is actually working on Toxic Avenger right now in Sofia, Bulgaria. And so the nepotism string is getting pulled right there to where I get to have a small part in that. But otherwise, just kind of like, waiting for more projects to come down the pike. I'm hoping with the Panic and Cruel Summer finally being out that there'll be a little bit more buzz and projects coming my way. But I think it also, the film production is still figuring out how to roll back. Although I do feel like in Austin, at least, I have seen, Texas Ranger just wrapped its second season. There's been Fear of the Walking Dead, whatever the next series is called, is rolling around. And I keep reading these articles about how Fort Worth and Central Texas is going to become the next, like, movie town now that things are roaring back to life. So I'm very hopeful for that. Although I've heard that before.
Yeah.
And,
hopefully we can.
I'm not sure.
Hopefully we can make that work.
Yeah, if they get these incentives figured out, and, like, I don't know, as long as the Texas government doesn't pull more crazy ass shit taking out.
I don't know if I want to take that
incentives for movies. Oh, I don't know, man.
We're good. We're good at that, though.
Oh, we're so good at shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah. Gun control. It's aiming at both feet.
Yeah, exactly. But it's okay because it's your choice to do that.
The craziest, I think, pandemic filming thing I've heard was from somebody on The Oval, the Tyler Perry president sex romp. And he literally basically, it's a retired or a decommissioned military base, I believe, or something like that he purchased, and they have trailers for all the crew, and it's just like a whole neighborhood of houses to film in, and so the actor I was talking to had just lived there during filming.
Yeah.
And then when the pandemic, he had already done it once, and then when the pandemic hit, everybody did it. They were like, "Fuck it, we're just gonna live here. This is the bubble now."
Yeah, this is our home now.
Yeah,
we live in the Oval.
Yeah,
and our lives are the Oval.
I was like, I feel like Tyler Perry was just waiting for, like, finally.
Oh.
None of the actors leave. We will film 24 hours a day. It's like the Mojoverse in X-Men now, and like there'd be a number of shows I'll get out of this.
This will be so great. I'm gonna have the oval. I'm gonna have the half circle. I'm gonna get the pentagon. Oh, pentagon! Brilliant.
The ellipse. There's two centers.
Exactly. Well, like, that was also something that was really great about Panic. Was it was one of the first productions to kind of come back with. I mean, they had the Amazon Studio money behind it, so I think that it was a little bit easier than some independent movies. But like, just seeing them have to pivot to this new way of 6 feet apart. Okay, here's the car makeout scene. So let's let's throw all the disinfectant into the car and now go. Let's make out. Like, that sort of. I don't know. They did a really good job of keeping everybody safe, or as safe as we could have known to be back in. I mean, this was right in July. August is when we came back. Yeah, August of 2020. And I don't know, it was pretty impressive. I did do like a little independent movie in between then, and I was so paranoid because they had just started saying, like, okay, wear masks all the time and temperature checks and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this, until they told me that the character was in a hazmat suit the whole time. And I was like, fucking A, I'll do it. so I'm shooting this like character wearing a full body hazmat suit, and I'm like, yes, I feel so safe. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, you are going to die of a heat stroke. You're not getting COVID, but you have sweated out every ounce of liquid in your body, and soon you will perish in the middle of this set. But yeah, the two ends of the spectrum.
Like, looking at props, like, I am counting on you people like I have never in my life.
Exactly. Don't let this die.
I don't care where you got this suit. I need you to tell me that this is grade A real.
Well, it wasn't. That's what I found out later. Like, you have to have like an oxygen tank connected to the back. And I was just raw dogging it out there, and no,
it's like what are the odds that this is just a painter schmuck that they painted orange or something.
Exactly. There was one point where the guy that I did a scene with, I don't know if you know Byron Brown from town. He's an awesome comedic actor, and just really great writer, producer type too, director type too. It's just he's also in a hazmat, and we're both standing like in the driveway of this person's house that we're shooting. We're 7 feet apart, just drenched, drinking like water to save our lives. And he goes, "Wait, what if you got COVID from this?" And I was like, "I'd be so fucking pissed." It's like I'm full out hazmat suit and I still got it. Oh, son of a bitch.
Right.
Sucks. But I'm doing my art. I'm surviving in some way. The ball is maybe not rolling, but it's swaying.
It's still moving
back and forth, and it's it's just in a little bit of a divot. It'll come over it anytime now.
Well, thanks so much for talking to me about it all, and I'm sure I'll reach out to chat with you again about all of the next stuff that's going to happen, for sure.
Yeah. I'll talk for another 45 minutes then, too, Les. So have fun with that.
I honestly, when I prep for interviews, I usually, like, there's a PR person, like, ghosting, like, sitting muted on the line, and like, I have 15 minutes or 20 minutes, or then, and then somebody pops on and it gets weird. And so, like, getting ready for this, I was like, all right, so on the one hand, I want to interview Lee. On the other hand, I want to catch up with Lee. Doing both of these is going to really wreck the interview.
Dude, we never even talked about the...
Oh, yeah, we didn't even talk about scaring the shit out of kids, or...
Yeah, like, this is what sex is, guys. Woo!
I told...
Do you really not remember that, or do you remember that?
No, vaguely. I was so panicked around kids. I still am not good around children. Like, They freaked me out. I don't know why I took that job. And then after that, because it paid. After that summer, they moved me to Pease Elementary, and put me with like first through fifth graders, so like 5-year-olds to 6-year-olds to 10-year-olds, and I learned so many fairy tales, like weird fairy tales. Just so
Brothers Grimm, man.
Yeah, like anytime shit would get tense or start to get out of control, like I could like snap my fingers and rattle off like a crazy ass old, the blue fairy book or green fairy book or whatever fairy tale, and it worked. But while we were at Dougherty, I told a room full of kids that light bulbs were run by little elves inside light bulbs, and because this kid asked me how light bulbs like how does a light bulb work, and I'm like, I'm teaching you Flash animation, like I don't fucking know, and I'm like, elves, it's elves, and
you see this number on the top where it says 30W? That means there's 30 elves with the name of Walter or Whitman. They're all running around in there.
You flip the switch, a little spark runs through the wire, and the spark goes off, and the little elf gets like a little spark on his button, and he lights his torch. and when a bulb burns out, it's because the little elf died.
Oh, shit.
And it's true, because if you shake a burned out bulb, you can hear his tiny
You can
bones.
hear their bones.
I finished saying it,
rattling around.
I look up and I'm like, fuck, children are believing me. I'm joking.
This is, guys.
I waited for like a week for some parent to. I was like, man, some kid is going to go home and take all the bulbs out, or cry when a lamp is going to burn out and they're going to lose their shit, or something.
Yeah, they're all dead.
Call me elves. Dead. Why is my kid talking about elves? I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea. Wow. Do you remember that time that kid puked in the middle of his scene?
Yes. They were, like, the kids that could sneak snacks and sugar and crap.
Yeah. Well, and then I remember we I don't know if you watched it again. Maybe you did. After they all left, we watched it again. And, we just kind of saw the slow progression of him being like, ooh, here it comes. And then when he delivers his line perfectly. He's like, yeah, dude, and then he just all in the back. But my favorite part, and yours, what was that guy's name? CJ? I think it was CJ or Greg was our counselor, and leads him away. But as we're watching the video, we see these two little kids, Kelvin and Al Foot, who kind of walk on over to peek over the side, and they both look at the puke, and then they also go like, ugh.
I think it was CJ. That's his name.
Yeah, it was just so, I don't know, lots of good stories from.
I remember being Agent Smith in kids' production of The Matrix one week.
And you're like, finally.
Which just involved me trying to lean backwards as far as I could without falling over during my lunch break.
Or pulling a quad.
Yeah.
Oh God, don't hurt yourself, dude.
I'm so glad I was 20 and in my 20s and not now.
Yeah, super. We were so flexible in the late 20s, early 20s. I'm just glad that we didn't get fired for.
I honestly, I kind of want to look up everybody we worked. I felt like we were like a super team of friggin' staff hires, and I'm sure that was partly their hype of working at Dougherty, but I absolutely felt
I think we were pretty good.
We had a crazy talented staff. I was very biased.
Yeah, that was all Zell Miller. Zell Miller just.
Oh man, yeah.
He was involved in poetry and theater and music, so he just had.
Yeah, he was writing plays that were.
He was the casting director of summer camps.
Yeah.
He was just really good at it. I'm sorry, I didn't do the buffer. Say that again.
Oh, I was like, yeah. I mean, if I remember, he had a play that staged that year or the year after. He'd already won awards around for stage work and writing plays and shit. I remember looking him up and being like, oh damn, I don't know if I'm.
Yeah.
Cool to be here. Did you really read my resume?
And he's like, yeah, man, I did, and I like you. Come in.
Yeah,
that was really good at just making you feel like you knew what you were doing, but clearly you did not most of the time.
It was, yes, yes.
It was a nice. He was very good at that. I haven't seen Zell in a while. I got to look him up now.
Yeah, that's absolutely how I ended up teaching even younger kids at Pease was that, like, I knew I was way out of my element, and then you'd talk to Zell and be like, no, I got this. Shit, I'm going to have this.
Hey, wow. I am making a difference in these children's lives by keeping them alive for 3 hours before their parents get out of work.
Like, this is so much better than the other aftercare they could be in. And
I'm feeding my soul because I'm teaching them acting, quote unquote. Like, this is great.
Well, have an awesome rest of your day. I'm so glad you got back in touch with you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, dude, Les, if we're at the same film festival, you can look at me from across the room if you look at Megan, but you can actually come and talk to me too. Right. So that would be nice.
All right, we'll do.
Awesome, dude. Take care. Bye.
Yep, bye.
TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.